I thought it was a good show today, Joy.
Good, I'm glad you're happy.
Let's talk about another show, equally good, I thought, which was you were on an episode of Finding Your Roots last night.
Oh, yeah. They left out so many things.
Did they? I'm curious. You've been talking about this for a long time. You worked on this a long time ago.
A long time ago. I forgot what I said in those days. But I tried to make it as entertaining as I could.
I thought you were very entertaining, actually.
My cousins watched it, all the cousins.
I think you undersold it around the office here. You were kind of like, I was on it. It was fine. I didn't.
Well, there was no big revelation. Like I said to you, I think I said it on here last time. Like Larry David found out Bernie Sanders was related to him. There was nothing like that in mine.
No, but it was entertaining, I thought. We saw your reactions on the show. How did the family react that watched it?
Well, they've been texting me. It was very touching. It was very moving. You were great. They liked how I did it.
Yeah. One of the things in the episode last night was that you were making your family laugh from a very young age.
Yes.
I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but you would do like 10-minute comedy sets for your family, which is amazing after wakes.
Well, because we'd go to a wake.
Right.
And they would say stupid things in the wakes. Like, he looks good. He looks just like himself. This was in the show.
They still say that. That's what you say at every wake.
They
did such a beautiful job on him.
Yeah. What a great makeup job.
Sure.
He looks better dead than alive.
Yeah.
And when you're a little kid, when you're 8 years old, you're listening to this and you have your head stuck in reality at 8 years old.
Right.
You know, nobody's already influenced you to lie. Mm-hmm. So you say, I don't think he looks that good.
Is that the material you'd be doing when you would do these little?
Well, I'd say stuff like that. But, after the wakes, we'd all go to eat. Everybody would eat and everybody be, having laughs again.
Right.
So it almost wasn't like an event.
Yeah.
Like when somebody old died, they'd be like, oh, we got to go to the wake.
Yep.
It was like big deals going on,
It reminds me of The Sopranos when Junior was on house arrest, but he could get out for a wake. So he was very excited. He was calling around to see who kicked the bucket.
Like there was a guy in the neighborhood who owned a grocery store.
Yeah.
And he had money. Mm-hmm. Like, in the front of the store were the hanging provolones and the mozzarellas all over the place.
I can hear and smell it. Yep.
Sawdust on the floor. But then if you went back where he lived, it was like you were magically transported into the Palace of Versailles. There you would see puffed up couches or made out of damask and what have you. And when somebody died in the neighborhood, he would take his wife's jewelry, put it in a plain bag, and go to the wake take the jewelry with him because he was afraid someone would break in.
Really?
These were events of the Williamsburg, Brooklyn is now very yuppified. Mm-hmm. It's not the same.
No.
If I was growing up there now, I don't think I would be the same person.
Interesting.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, there were bookies hanging out. Everybody looked out for you.
Right.
Somebody had to put wallpaper up. The whole neighborhood showed up to put the wallpaper up or paint.
So you're very much a product of where you grew up.
I'm very much a product of a very tight community of Italian Americans.
We always talk about nature versus nurture. And you think a lot of your life and who you are is nurture.
A lot of it. But I'm very much like my Aunt Rose. Mm-hmm.
I've heard some Aunt Rose stories. My
Aunt Rose was a person who she was married to a guy who came here when he was 19 years old. Mm-hmm. So he never could get the language, And we'd talk, and my aunts and everybody would talk fast,
Right.
Pass the thing, give me that. Did you see what happened on television? He'd go, you people, you talking too fast.
Now I've heard you say similar things. You are not a fan of a fast talker.
No, I don't. I'm not.
No.
Maybe that's why.
Yes. You don't like a fast talker. You don't like a mumbler.
I don't want a fast talker if they actually say something. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's just with nothing to be said.
Right. I hear that as the occasional guest on the show. I hear, they talk too fast. It's too much. All right. Well, the other revelation from last night were that your grandparents lived across the street from each other.
Yeah, both grandfathers from my father's side and my mother's side.
Yes. What are the odds of that?
The Italians don't really like to move,
right.
So they're stuck in one shtetl, And the paese, they call it, the paisan. And I don't even know if they knew each other. Mm-hmm. But, years went by, and then one child married the other one's child. My grandfather, Philip,
yes,
who had skills, he was a draftsman or something. So they left Calabria with his wife, Josephine. I'm named after her.
Right.
I think I told this, didn't I?
Well, I know about Josephine. Yeah, we heard about Josephine. I like that story, though. That was good. It was dark, but it was good.
I'm going to kill myself and the children. I did too.
It made front page news because you told it on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Wow.
Much like your agent telling you not to do The View. It's a headline everywhere.
Why do you suppose people are so interested in that?
People are interested in you, and they're interested in this show, and we are clickbait. people want to write about the show ad nauseum. They want to write that the show's not doing well when it's doing amazing. Our highest rated season in 4 years. People want to write about it. It drives me crazy.
I wish if they're going to quote me correctly.
Let's hear it. What should they quote
Well,
me?
I hear that people are writing about me.
This Carrie Underwood thing yesterday.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, it's just incorrect with the way they quoted
Well,
me.
no,
I never
because-
said she was un-American.
No, of course
So
not.
why they say that about
No,
me?
so let's talk about this because they said Carrie Underwood performing at Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday, and you said that you personally would not do it, as
No, I would
though
not.
he would ask you to do
As if he would ask.
to
Well,
do
I
a
don't-
warm-up set
Yeah.
before the swearing in. We'll have 20 minutes from Joy.
Yeah.
But you didn't understand. You said that you personally would not do it, but you didn't understand how you say you love your country and at the same time normalize Trump, a convicted felon.
Right.
Now that you're
Not
not
only a
implying,
convicted felon, there are many accusations
Right.
against him, and one of them is that he's not really qualified.
Right.
But besides that,
Right. This is
I
not
would
a-
not. I would not do it.
Right.
But I did not say that anyone was un-American.
No, and you
And
also
I happen to like Carrie Underwood. I think she's very talented.
incredibly talented. Yeah.
Very talented. And also the Village people are doing it. They can
Yes.
do whatever they want. People can do whatever they want.
Right, and you are always you've never been a cancel culture type
Never.
of person. You're very much
I'm the
First Amendment,
opposite.
yeah,
Right.
And people are free to do whatever it is. You were
And-
one of the staunchest fighters for the free speech and First
That's
Amendment.
right.
Yeah.
That is correct. And I don't mind that people disagree with that or think that I was out of line, but at least quote me correctly.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you on that. That's crazy.
But there is no truth anymore. You know, it used to be truthiness. Now everything's a big lie. Mm-hmm. It's really annoying.
Yeah. All right. Well, now
It's
we
scary.
yes, but and this is an opinion show. This is what we do, and then of course
Yes, and
people
then
like
there are
to-
people out there who are desperate for relevance.
Yes. there are.
Relevancy.
Yes.
And so they will write anything.
No, and despite what you might read, the show is a big giant hit, and a lot of people watch it, and a lot of people want to write about it. We're doing quite well.
Well, I thought today's show, the way we had the clips of what the senators were saying to Hegseth was
Yeah.
very, very educational and instrumental in going forward. I think that our audience needs to see some of that because they don't necessarily watch the same things we do.
No, I think that's true. I think our audience tunes into you guys to get your opinion on what's going on in the world and to find out how you feel about certain things. But I don't think our audience necessarily is glued to
No.
cable news the way some of our hosts are.
That's right. And I think it's perfectly wonderful that we bring this information to them, but you have to make it entertaining.
I think we did
This
today.
is we happen to be under the rubric of the news right now, ABC News,
Right.
and we used to be entertainment.
Right.
So you have to take that so seriously just because news owns
No,
us.
we're under ABC News, but we're not a news show.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. We're an opinion
Okay.
show. All right, let's go
right.
back to Josh Gad, who was on the show yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
He talked about that he wanted to, he knew he wanted to be an actor and make people laugh early on. This is what he always wanted. And when you were talking to him, you said that you use humor as a defense mechanism. In school, you use this. You often got into trouble that way. What kind of trouble did you get into?
In school?
Yeah, I got into a lot of trouble in school. What
Why?
kind of
What
trouble
did you?
did you
I
get
got
into?
into trouble for just talking too much.
Really? I did too.
And making people laugh when they weren't supposed to laugh, like during the Star Spangled Banner, for example, the Pledge of Allegiance.
You unpatriotic person. How did
wasn't-
you do it?
No, I just was a cut up.
Right.
Especially when everything is serious, is when I would really go into my routine.
Mm-hmm. I got in trouble for talking too much. I got locked in a closet by my 5th grade teacher.
See, I got locked in the closet when they had
you
my
really?
when they took my tonsils out. They locked me in the closet. You know that to this day, if I had that nurse in my hands right now,
You never like being locked in places. I remember when you got
how
stuck
dare
in an
they
elevator.
lock a child in a room? I was very young too, just for my tonsils because
Oh.
I was acting up.
And they locked you in the room.
Yeah, I think that's really outrageous.
That
You
is
don't do that
outrageous.
to children. I'm traumatized my whole life. I'm a little claustrophobic now.
Well, I remember it's one of the highlights of my time here. We did a music video with Mary J. Blige,
yeah.
and you got stuck in the elevator, and I didn't hear the end of it for several years.
What is isn't one of your greatest fears to be stuck in an elevator?
Depends on who I'm stuck with.
Alone.
Alone's not great. I agree.
Alone without your phone.
Yeah.
And it's 95 degrees out.
Okay,
Okay?
is that what was happening?
Yes.
All right. Well, I apologize for that. That was a fun day otherwise. All right. We have a listener text.
Okay.
This is from Nicole in New Jersey, and it's about your comedy career. Hi, Joy. I was wondering when you first started out in comedy, who did you test out your material on? Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, well, that's a very good question
Mm-hmm.
because you have to get on stage on open mic night with 5 good minutes in order for them to pass you so that you can come back.
Right.
How do you get those first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Okay. I got them at my job at Good Morning America. A lot of it. First of all, I was in my whole life until I was like 35 years old. I was practicing to be a comedian, whether I knew it or not. I was funny in the teacher's room when I was a teacher. I was funny in school when I was a kid. I just was like that, okay? So, but Good Morning America, I would sit at a desk. I was a receptionist. People would come by, and I would say funny things to them. And sometimes they'd say funny things to me. I'd write them down. And then I would put 5 minutes together of funny things and hope that they had connections to each other. And then I would try them out on different people.
So you knew that deep down, you knew this is what you wanted to do.
I knew I had to do it. I had no choice.
Wow.
I had no choice. I couldn't do the teaching anymore. It was not for me anymore. I liked it for a while. I worked at so many different jobs. I was an employment counselor for the New York State Unemployment Office.
It's interesting because you famously won't ever repeat a joke backstage. Like if you say something that kills in a group of people, and I'm like, oh, do that on the show, and you never will. And it kills me. It drives me nuts.
I'm a purist about stuff like that.
But when you're putting your set together, you have to try it out.
Well, because
you
have to know what you're going to say out there.
Right.
Especially in the beginning where after a while, you get a technique going. You can work a room. Where you from? What do you do? All that stuff.
Right.
But in the beginning, they don't want you to work the house. They want to hear what you've got to say.
And were there other comedians that were inspiring you at this point?
Robert Klein.
Okay.
Robert Klein was my role model. Robert Klein was a teacher. I was a teacher. He would go out there and talk about what it was like to do that job. I would do that also. And he was smart. I liked a smart comedian. I didn't like, prop comics.
Right.
Oh, they were funny, but they were not.
They were not
me.
for you. They were not your cup of tea.
And there was a woman when I was really young who was on the Ed Sullivan Show called Jean Carroll. Do you ever hear of her? She was funny. She just would dress like this, very attractive, and just be funny. I mean,
and that was a revelation at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, Phyllis Diller was hilarious, but she had crazy hair, crazy outfit. This one was just herself
it was
and
just
funny.
Her comedy.
And we would fall on the floor laughing.
Oh, that's great. We have another text. This is a listener from. It's Ashley in Maryland.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of The View. Hello, Ashley.
Ashley.
The Wilkes always marry their cousins. I am a huge fan of The View, and I just love Joy. Joy, I am recently divorced mom of 2 young kids, and my question for you was, how did you handle dating after your divorce? Oh, good questions today.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a single mom trying to put herself back out there?
First of all, don't tell them you have 2 kids. Keep them hidden somewhere.
Wait till like 7 or 8 dates in?
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, one of the things that pops into my head is I had a daughter also. And I met Steve pretty early after my divorce. Yeah. I never brought him home for 1 year. I did not want to mix a new guy with my kid.
Right. You had to know that this was real.
I had to know what was going on first, and I definitely kept him away from the children. I didn't think that was the child. I just didn't think it was appropriate for them to be. Plus, you're having a lot of sex in the beginning, and that's really more on top of your mind instead of mixing up the family.
Sure, I think that's probably
it's a lot of that.
Good to keep separate.
Right. But meeting guys, in my day, you went to a bar, Well,
I was going to say, there weren't apps in this era.
No apps.
So, this was a different, unless you're ordering apps. But it's a different situation.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of think it's easier in a way now. But
Did you go out looking? Were you saying tonight I'm going out, I'm going to go meet somebody?
Yes. Yeah. You have to wear your light. Your taxi light has to be on. And so that people know that you're interested a little bit. Meaning you don't walk around like, with a faccia brute, as they say.
No, of course.
Faccia brute mean like a face like that.
Yes.
You smile, you're out there looking. And then I was one of those people who, if I was at a party, and there were parties also I went to.
Right.
If I was at a party, I'd always go for the guy who was sitting alone in the corner, not the guy with the lampshade on his head who was acting crazy.
Right.
I never liked a guy like that. Both my husbands are rather, as they say, taciturn and reticent. 2 words I learned when I did the SATs. And I would go to them and start talking to them.
I was going to say, you approached men generally.
I did. Even Steve, he was watching, we were at this place called Sukasa up in Woodstock. He was watching a Roman Polanski movie, A Knife in the Water. That's the kind of place this was.
Yeah.
And so I just started talking to him. What's the movie about? Blah, blah, blah. And then we're interested in each other.
Oh, that's interesting. And then when men would hit on you, is that something you didn't like as much?
I never liked it. I didn't feel in control of the situation.
It's the same way you don't like a compliment now. You don't like people coming up to you and saying anything to you now. Like, that was really funny. Why? Yeah.
Maybe I just don't believe it.
Yeah, maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
All right. One last question. They're coming out in droves. This is from Bobby in South Carolina.
All right.
Joy, you are iconic. I've always dreamt of becoming famous, and I wanted to know your personal opinion on what are the best and worst parts of being recognized as a public figure.
Oh, well, the best thing of it is that there are perks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go to a restaurant and they go, "Oh, hi.
Yeah.
Well, let's find a table, for her." They'll
Right.
do that. So that's
That
one
is
of
nice.
certain amount of perks that you get.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
The downside is that you really can't be anonymous as you'd like to. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I go out without makeup, people are adjusting their radios. I go out without makeup, and they still recognize me because I opened my mouth.
Right.
Did I tell you this story? So I'm at Costco the other day,
No, you did not tell me this.
waiting online to check out,
Mm-hmm.
and I see this middle-aged man look at me and stick his tongue out like this to me. And I was alone. Steve was outside with the dog.
Right.
And I just look at him like, what? Like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now he looks embarrassed. He's like, oh, I thought you were Joy Behar. You look just like her. And I went,
That's hysterical.
yeah.
Everyone,
But sticking his tongue out at me.
yeah,
What kind of grown-up behavior is that?
yeah. And you let it go at that point. You
I
didn't
did.
say,
But
yeah,
if I was a little closer to him, I would have said, what is your problem?
right.
But I didn't.
But you know what his problem
But my
is.
body language was, I'm not Joy Behar. What are you talking about?
Yeah, of course. I'm curious that you like a Costco. I think
I love Costco.
Yeah, tell me why.
Well, first of all, Costco treats their employees very well.
Okay.
Everybody's happy who works at Costco.
Oh, that's good.
So, but besides that,
Yeah.
they have stuff that I need. I need gigantic boxes
That's what I was curious about.
of Dunkin' Donuts coffee pods,
Right.
for example.
Like
I need
you need
that.
like a 6 month supply.
I do. And I like their toilet paper.
Okay.
It's not thin. It's very thick. It has like it's a heavy duty toilet paper. I like that.
Yeah.
I like their frozen shrimp.
Right.
If you have a party, they have the best, like frankfurters rolled up,
Yeah,
big pigs in a blanket,
sure.
and little quiches. I had some people over on Christmas Day, and I bought all that stuff, and they loved
I
it.
feel like I always sign up for a Costco membership. I go twice and then I stop going. I got to check it out more often.
Well, I'm surprised your wife doesn't love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
And you live in a house.
I live in a house. I was going to say,
Yeah.
in an apartment, it's harder to
It is
store
harder.
all that
It is
stuff.
harder. But once you buy that toilet paper,
Yeah.
you're set for a year.
But don't you buy stuff you don't need when you go to a Costco? I feel like
I
there's
don't.
so much stuff.
I don't.
All right, you're very practical.
No, I know what I'm doing.
All right, I apologize. All right. Now, if Steve, you said you were alone in the Costco. If Steve was there, how would that have gone down?
Wait, Costco?
Yeah, when you got the
He
tongue
would have
stuck
been
out.
mad. See,
Yeah.
it's better when I'm by myself because he's very protective of
Yes.
me and of everybody. He's a protective person. He's the best guy.
Yeah, I love Steve. He's a good guy.
And so he would have started up with the guy.
Yeah, which is never a good idea.
And then I
What's
would
the
have been,
point?
leave it alone. I can
Right.
handle it. Don't worry about
No,
it.
I know. I mean, I think you engage too much too. But
I
yeah.
like to talk to them.
I know.
I love to talk to people who love Trump. I want to hear why. I'm open to hear something good. Mary Trump, his niece, said,
Yes.
there is not one redeeming quality about the guy. His own flesh and blood says that. I want to hear from a Trump supporter what he would really like about him.
I know. But is there anything they could say that would convince you? Probably not.
I told you one time I thought that he could be funny.
Yeah.
And I knew him before he became this president person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even believe that he believes any of the things that he says. All he cares about is, do you like me?
Right.
Please like me.
Mm-hmm.
If you like me, I'll go along with whatever you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a good thing for a
No,
president.
but that's who he was when you liked him too. When you were friendly
He
with
didn't.
him.
When
Yeah.
I went to his wedding
Yeah.
to Marla.
I know.
I used to see him at Catch a Rising Star all the time. I went to when Tiffany was born. I was with them. I mean, I know the guy. He used to come on The View all the time.
All the time. He
And
co-hosted.
He'd be backstage saying to me, "This George Bush is a disaster," and I think, "Oh,
Yeah.
I agree with
You
that.
agreed with him on that
I
one.
agree with that." And then he turned it around.
Right.
So I don't really know what he believes or who he is.
Mm-hmm. What do you think him and Obama were talking about at the Jimmy Carter funeral? You see them laughing like that. What goes through your head?
Obama is such a gentleman that he engaged him more.
Yeah.
Like, he's rises above everything in a certain way. I
Yeah.
don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm curious about it. I mean, I guess he's just, I think, gets to your point. He's just, he's presidential still.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I don't think he believes anything he says in public. Like all that business of birtherism, I don't even know if he believed that. He said, "Hey, this is a good hook for me."
Right.
And now he's sitting with Obama. And
Right. But the fact that Obama's sitting there with the guy who did
Because
that to
Obama
him.
does. Because Obama.
He's
it's
above
like,
it.
Look,
Yeah.
if people say things to me, you think I wouldn't talk to them? I don't care.
Right. No, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go, I wanted to bring up something you were talking to me about last week. It was a little disturbing. You were hearing crickets.
Oh, my neck.
What's going on with
You
your
know, I
neck?
looked it up. I think
Okay.
it's getting older. It's part of the problem.
Oh, okay.
Little things start to go off. So I had a massage over the weekend.
And it got rid of the crickets.
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
I think there's something like, I don't know what it is.
We're looking around your dressing room for what the sound's coming from. It's your neck.
Did you never had that where you hear a little cricket?
No.
See, you're too young. This is
I'm sure
old
it's coming.
age things are coming up now.
All right. Well, I forget sometimes. All right. Well, that's all we have time for today.
Okay, can I go back to my Kettle One?
In a moment, I'm going to say my outro, and then
Okay,
you can go.
do
You can
that.
start eating now if you want.
right, go ahead.
All right. Thank you for joining me today, Joy Behar.
You're welcome.
Tomorrow on the show, Anna Navarro will be back here with me, and we'll see you then.